Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Network Hour podcast. I am your host, Molly Crease, and today I have a special guest with me. And bear with me, I have to pronounce his name correctly. Her name is Maudelyne Maxineau. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Close enough. Oh, yeah, I got
That's
it.
correct. Yeah. Especially the Maxineau part. Yes.
So Madeline, thank you for being here with us today. I'm so excited to be talking to you. I know for the podcast Network Hour, we've been doing a series this season talking about professional happiness, and we are going to get into all of that. But before we get into that, I want you to tell the people who Madeline is.
Oh, sure. Madeline is a mom of two boys. I'm a wife. I'm a social worker. I'm an administrator in the higher education system. And I'm also, um, I guess, a recent author. I've been writing children's books for the past 4 years now. So I wear all these hats and many more.
Oh wow. That's a lot. That's definitely a lot. So I need to stop complaining because that's a lot that you got there. Where are you originally from?
I was born in Haiti, Cap Haitian, which is the north part of Haiti, one of the more historic parts of Haiti. And my mom and I moved to the US. I would think I was like 9, 10. I didn't want to because Caribbean, and this was
Yeah.
like 1992, no, 1993, 1994. Just leaving to this, really, really cold area. But I said to people like I was born in Haiti, but I'm from Flatbush, so I grew up right there on Flatbush Avenue, and that's home to me. So
hmm I'm craving the beach right now though. I'm craving I'm craving the beach and some sun right now. Um I always hate when I hear people say they're from Haiti. I love it, and then I always find myself saying "sac passe," but I don't know if I'm saying it wrong, and I don't even know what it means. So tell me if
oh
I'm saying it wrong, and tell me what does
yeah,
it mean.
sac passe, it means what's up, what's happening.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
okay, so I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the most common phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. The I fell in love with Haiti and their music. I think it was a couple of years back when I was living in Brooklyn, and I it was the Labor Day parade, right?
Oh,
And when the trucks were coming up the hill for the Labor Day parade, right? And I'm there with my Vincy flag. I'm proud, getting on my little Vincy truck just passed and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, I hear this commotion and I see people just getting hype. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are these people, what are they getting so hype for? And I asked somebody next to me, they were like, the Haitian truck is coming up. I'm like, okay, so what's so special about this Haitian truck coming up? I tell you, when the Haitian truck came up and they start with these music and blah blah blah, you see these people, and I'm like, okay, now I see what's going on. And oh, they had all these people, the biggest truck and everything, and I'm like, Haiti came to represent. I'm like, okay, I'm in love with
I'm sure
Haiti.
you've heard of Major Hype, right? Major Hype.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of Major Hype, the comedian. He
Uh,
said, go to the Labor Day parade and on Eastern Parkway. There are two nations that you need to watch out for: the Haitians and the Jamaicans.
oh
They
yeah. They are a vibe, I tell you. I mean, I love my little island and we try to do it, but the Haitians, they come out in their numbers and they're like, we taking over this. We give all y'all a little time to go by, but we coming and we taking over this. So it's always a competition between the Haitian truck and the Jamaican truck.
Jamaican truck. And
Right.
that's why they go last because
Yes, and that's why they go last too.
yeah,
And I
just
remember when the police was trying to block the trucks and block the stuff, and we thought, I think the Haitian truck was the last truck, and we thought they were not going to be able to come up. And Haiti was like, we pushing through this. Like, the truck came through
Yeah.
all the barricades and everything. They couldn't stop the people. I was like, okay, I'm Haitian now. I gotta be
Yeah.
Haitian.
I love it because it's the one day where you can try everybody's food. You can try
Yeah,
everybody's food. You can talk to. It's just the national pride and just talking about our culture, the Caribbean. I love it. So I think from my parents didn't used to let me go, but by 17 to like 23,
hmm,
every year I went religiously, and
yeah.
that's where I met people from other islands that I wouldn't, maybe you pass them, maybe you know them, but just talking to them and learning about their heritage.
Yeah,
It's
it's
special to
amazing.
them.
It's amazing to meet so many different people that are
Yeah.
just islands away from each other, and they have so many different things about them, different food, different way they talk, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally
And
amazing.
even the
So,
Creole that we speak, like, talking to, it was the first time I spoke to someone from St. Lucia and I understood exactly what she
yes.
was saying. She understood exactly what I was telling her, but it was still different. And I was
Uh-huh.
just like,
Uh-huh.
wow, somebody
Uh-huh.
that, like, different
I
Creole.
try not to talk like that among the Americans because they be looking at me like, what? Okay, what? You're gonna have to repeat yourself. So
Yeah.
I try to put on the mother tongue, the English tongue when I'm around them. But if I'm around my own people, then you're gonna
Yeah.
hear that patois, that Creole coming out real good and nice. But yeah, that's just awesome. So you say you didn't you grew up in Haiti a little bit, but then you moved here. So Haiti was just a little potion for you as a child, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that you're still grounded in that root, in that tradition. And because some people totally forget that since they move as a little child, sometimes you totally forget, and then you become so engraved in one culture and you forget about the other. So I'm glad that you haven't forgotten about either, or you can be multifaceted.
Oh yeah, my parents instilled that in me, and I have a name that suggests that I'm not from here, so I always had to explain that. But it's just the love of this country, and to know that I wish I knew back then more of my ancestors, who they
Hmm.
were and what they fought for. So that was the only part that was missing. But my parents always told me, that's where you're from, that's who you are, it's ingrained in you, and they always say you're African. you know
Hmm.
everything else, you're an African, you're a Black person, so you need to live and honor and honor your life as a Black person. And so my mom was always, my grandmother too, she always told me that, so I can never
Yeah,
forget. Yeah,
yeah.
and make sure I knew how to write and speak Creole.
Oh wow, okay. It's not like mine. My mom named me Molly. I'm like, she probably thought I was gonna be in the US one day and needed that name so that they would think that I was white, so I would get some opportunities. But I don't have an African name, but I would have to see translate and find one based on my personality and find one. But yeah, your name is very unique. So tell me about your time here in the US, going to school as a teenager and finding your way in terms of college and thinking about what you wanted to do as an adult.
Sure. So I went to college in the early 2000s. It was a lot happening in New York, the 9/11 tragedy. And because I was, I think, 18 when that happened. I remember just being in Manhattan, being fascinated by the city. It was my first time exploring the whole city. I chose to go to City College in Harlem, which is that town is just traditional and it's rooted in Black American history and culture.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a budding African presence there too. And so I got exposed to quite a lot of just history that I didn't know before. Um, and I just didn't know what to do. I was the first one in my family to go to college. And so I didn't have a template. So I kind of bounced around the first 2 years and I didn't have a major. It took me a while to graduate because I didn't have a clear focus. So I did graduate because my Haitian mother would have whooped my.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Better get those A's.
Yeah. She's like, I don't care what you bring, just bring me the diploma. She wanted me to go to nursing school, and it wasn't for me. I tried it my second year, and I just, I didn't like it, but I didn't know what I liked. And so I went to a college fair and heard the word social work, and I had never heard it before. So I researched. I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. This is more in line with what I think I want to do. And so I applied for grad school because I didn't have a job. I applied for grad school and got accepted and just fell in love with just um, the idea of being a social worker. But unfortunately, after I graduated, I got a job from the ACS and I didn't like it. And I said, no, I don't like the home visits. I don't like the politics. I don't like advocating for myself in order to help my clients. We didn't have computers. We didn't have the basic needs to just, do our jobs. And I felt that it was very stressful. And I was coming home crying all the time. And this was probably around 2009. They had like a bed bug infestation happening in New York City. And so I had to be very cautious when going to these clients' homes, but yet respectful. And it wasn't for me. So I went back to higher education, which I did an internship there and discovered that I love teaching students. And I have stayed there for, oh God, 14 years now. And actually, currently, I'm in transition. I'm actually thinking about or taking active steps to leave my current position. I'm in CUNY. I can at least say that, yeah, in CUNY to move to SUNY. And so I find myself just having these feelings again, saying, okay, you're leaving somewhere that's comfortable for the unknown, and I'm hoping to do something that's a little bit different. So I'm going from senior administrator to as a director to managing student programs to almost the same thing, but students and careers. So I'm aiming to be the associate director of the career center at school. And so it's a little bit different, but it's the same feeling that I get. It's excitement. It's helping students. It's helping them to understand that it may not take you a semester to figure out what you want to do. It's fine if it takes you a couple of years or even a decade, but as long as you are trying something different and you're happy and you're enjoying the journey, that's fine. So I'm hoping to just find myself in that in a different field of higher education where the focus is not just on learning and mastering soft skills or understanding how to navigate college, but it's understanding the other side, like while you're in college, what are the steps that you can take in the career center to make sure that when you graduate, you understand how to have a successful job interview, how to job hunt, industry knowledge. So that's what I'm hoping to to do next in the next few months.
That is so cool, and that is so important, because I find when I was in college, even in grad school, I find that the career center didn't do enough. And that's why one of my goals is to, which part of my business is going back into these schools and helping them to really know what's going on out there. I feel like sometimes career services is out of touch with what employers want and what they're looking for and the trends. And it takes somebody to come in and say, well, I know you're doing this, but we can really elevate this to help the students. So I'm glad that you're stepping into that space, because it's definitely needed. I was at LIU this week presenting as a guest my coaching business and stuff, and from talking to the students and telling them about LinkedIn networking and all this stuff, and they looking at me like if I'm talking a foreign language. And and they're like, we need this, we don't learn this in school. And it's something that I don't think a lot of the administrators are getting yet. And it takes people like me and you to come in and say, hey, I know you have this established, but these are some things that you can factor in there to
Right.
really make it more foolproof rather than just sticking to what you already know. So I'm definitely glad that you're taking that path. But talking about all things together, you talk about your mom wanting you to be a nurse or go into nursing or whatever. For the life of me, what is it up with Caribbean parents? And I mean, they trying to get out of it now, but for Caribbean parents, it's either you be a doctor, a lawyer,
Yeah.
or work at a bank or something. It's always these three or four core things that they want their kids to get into. And if you don't do it, they feel like you're not accomplished. You haven't done anything.
My mom to this day does not, she can't explain it. She just says, look, I know she works. She works somewhere in some college. She does something because she gets paid. But she's not a nurse or a doctor, okay?
Oh my gosh. My mom does the same thing. And it's the same thing with our personal lives. Thank God you're married because my mom is on me daily. You're not getting any younger. You need to get married. And it's a Caribbean parent thing because they have this trajectory for us that they think we must take, right? You must grow
Yeah,
up, you go to school, you go to college, you get a good job, then you
yeah,
get married and you get kids, and it's
yeah,
in that order.
yeah.
And
And
if
it's
you if you
their
fall
time.
out if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
fall out of line of that order, they feel like, oh, what are you doing? You're messing up the order.
yeah, 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 yeah. And with my mom, it's not just that order, which I'm like, I think I followed, but it was, well, okay, you have kid one, when do you have kid two? And I'm like,
Hmm.
but it's really hard out here. You know?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, no, you're gonna be 35. You need to work on kid two. And I
exactly.
have you guys 3 years apart, and your oldest is 5. Where's your it's,
It's crazy. It's crazy. So tell me about where you are in your career space now. I know you say you're talking about transitioning and all of that stuff, but where you are in this space, the space that you've carved out for yourself, that niche of what you want to do. Are you happy in that? Or are you happy with the direction that you're going? Or do you have some what am I looking for here? Do you look back at times and say maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that differently, to go on a different path, or are you satisfied with where you're going now?
I'm satisfied with where I'm going. If I could go back, I would have maybe gone back to my college days and focus on Black history. I think I would have been teaching much sooner than I started. But I'm currently I'm not happy because the my administration, the campus that I'm currently at, our values don't align anymore. And so when that happens, you have to realize, okay, it's my time to pack my bag quietly and make like a graceful exit. And so I said, well, I don't want to go to another campus and do the same thing because um, at this point I've mastered, being a senior hire administrator and a program director. I want to do something different, but within, that I don't have to go back to school, but something a little bit
Mm-hmm.
different. And then I stumbled upon career development, and I said, oh, that's something where I've been, I've always had this curiosity and learning more about. I have the basic credentials. It's just a matter of just um, doing some research on LinkedIn, taking some courses on LinkedIn. I'm an avid user of LinkedIn Learning, and just figure out, is this really something that I want to explore? And it
Mm-hmm.
turned out I really do. And so then I started looking for the right campus with the right values and culture and diversity, for me to just see if that could be a good match. And since I happen to live in Long Island, there are so many SUNY schools on Long Island, but Stony Brook is the most comprehensive. And so I'm just navigating that space and looking at that campus. I also like LIU. Coast or the Brookville campus, and
Mm-hmm.
just talking to our friend Joan about maybe just just possibly looking at that campus as well, and she was on board with it. So I've been just learning more about these two campuses and seeing how can I add um, my expertise and knowledge, and how can I add value to any of those positions. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the what is it? I'm in transition, you could say. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
definitely.
I'm glad that you realize, because a lot of us, we stay in positions because we're comfortable, and we fear the unknown, and we don't want to just get up and go. But I'm glad that you, and I'm hope the listeners that are listening listen to your process, because you're not just getting up and going, you're putting some steps into place, you're working a process, and you're making sure that you lay a foundation so that when it's time for you to go, then you can go and have all the your ducks in a row, so to speak, or you have all the steps in place. So it's good that you're doing, like LinkedIn, you said you're brushing up on your professional development and all of that stuff, because even though, and I tell this to people all the time, even though you might be in a situation, whether it be a job that you want to move away from or whatever, and you can't do it right the minute you want to do it, there's steps you can take so that when it's time, then you have all the opportunity to do it, because maybe you might need to brush up on a skill. Maybe you might need to network some more to build your tribe and to build a lot more connections that can help you when you're in that space. And maybe you need to customize and brush up on your resume and your LinkedIn profile and build your brand and all that stuff. All that stuff you can do while you're looking to transition. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that from your story and from people listening, they can see that you're doing this while you're preparing yourself, as it were, for transition. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be or where you want to go. And so you have to figure out, well, okay, how every day I can do something small to narrow that gap. Whether it's,
Mhm.
take a learning a LinkedIn course, hire a career. I had to hire a career coach because it took me 9 years to, I was there 9 years. I'm there, I'm still there 9 years. Um, my resume looked out of date. So every day I did something small or something big, like talking to a career coach, to make sure that I'm prepared for when that
Mhm.
opportunity steps in. It comes, I can say, oh, here I am. I'm ready. I'm completely ready. So yeah, just narrow that gap every day.
Yeah, definitely. And people don't realize how important coaches are, mentors are, and all of those people, because they can help you flush your ideas out. They can help you gain clarity on things, and sort of help to push you to get off the sandbox, because a lot of us, we're saying we're gonna do something and we're sitting there. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go to the fridge now. But we're sitting there for the 30
Right.
minutes or whatever, and we still haven't gotten to the fridge yet.
Right. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
sometimes you need someone to push you out of that seat and say, go ahead, go and get it, you can do it. So I'm firm believer of coaches and mentors and all that stuff. I had a business coach, even though I was a master degree student, business student and all of that, and I still had to get a business coach, because we don't know it all, and sometimes
Right.
we just need those people. So that is really great. So let's talk about your books. How did you get into writing and children writing at that?
Yeah, it's a little bit of personal. So I have two boys. My oldest is on the autism spectrum. And so communicating with him it takes a lot of creativity. And as a Haitian American, every January 1st, we eat the soup jumu, the pumpkin soup. It's a way of celebrating Haiti's independence, honoring your ancestors. And I had he enjoys the soup, but I wanted to make sure he understands why we do this every January and a couple of Sundays throughout the year, and just to get the meaning behind it. And the best way for me to do to make sure he understood it was to write a story. I do this all the time for him, like make sure he has audio and visual support. because that's how he understands. So I wrote this book. I did the research and I wrote the book for him, and he loved it. And I said, oh, you know what? And in researching for this, I only saw one other book out
Mm-hmm.
there about Subjumu. So let me write my own, because my story took place in Haiti. And so that was it took me, and I wanted to self-publish because I didn't want anyone to say, no, this is too black, take this out, you don't like this. No, no, it's my story. So I self-published, and it took me, I wrote the book in 2018. It took me all to figure out how to, hire an illustrator, how to, just do the process of self-publishing, and then
Mm-hmm.
how to be a business entrepreneur person, because that was not my goal. It was just to have that one book. But then family members and friends really liked it. And I said, oh, sure. So I had to have a website. So the book came out December 2020. And since then I've written like two more, just thinking about my children. And I have my husband has a lot of siblings. So I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and they're Haitian American. So thinking about, well, how do I also, make sure they have resources and things out there about Haiti. So I wrote, it's, oh, see, I think I have it here. Yeah, this is my home office. I'll show it to you. So it's called Independence Subjumu. I don't know why it's in this case. Oh, okay, I know why. Yeah, it's called Independence Subjumu. I wrote that in December 2020. And then I did an activity book, again, my children,
Oh, nice.
that goes with it. So yeah, it was just something you could say it was accidental, because I just wanted to make sure my son understood that tradition.
That's amazing. So what is the website? What is the website for your book?
Oh, so then I said, oh, I have other ideas about just specifically Caribbean history, but I'm starting with Haiti. So it's called Haiti Decoded. I'm on IG, Facebook, and yeah, I do have a website, and all my books, I now have 3 books and counting. And all my books are there. But I plan to expand to having like my own publication company. That's what I'm hoping, like in my 60s, that's what I want to be doing.
Nice, because I'm gonna
So,
need your help. I'm gonna need your help to write my book.
and so I have a platform called 509 Publication, and that's going to include just Black stories, African empires. I'm currently researching the great ancestor Marcus Garvey and how impactful his presence was
Mm-hmm.
in the early centuries to Black Americans. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a book that I'm reading about an ancestor from Guadeloupe who was
Mm-hmm.
this. I think he was better than Mozart, but they call him the Black Mozart.
Yeah.
And his music just soothed me, and I'm so sorry that I'm now learning about him. His name is George. My God, I don't want to get it wrong, but George. Oh my goodness, I'm blacking his name right now. But there's a movie coming out about him, and I hope they do it justice. But I'm researching him, and I'm writing. He has a really long name. I can't remember all of it. Um, but it's just an honor for me to just share my knowledge of Black history with my son in particular, because I need him. First of all of the Black kids are not going to get this information in school. So if you have a Black child, or if you care about a child, you should teach them our history. But
Mm-hmm.
my son in particular, I felt that it is my duty to just make sure he understands very well, his tradition and heritage and where he's from.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of our Caribbean islands have great ancestry that we need to learn more about. Like, for instance, in St. Vincent, I know I learned of the Garifuna people.
Mhm.
And we have kids that are coming up that we need to teach them these things, even though we might, a lot of us that transition from our countries and are now living in different areas and different states, and might have birthed children. It's still important for us to
Right.
instill where we came from into our children, and putting it in a book like that in such an animated form that they can enjoy and relate to, I think is very, very important. So I'm excited to see what else you come up with. I'm excited to see what other Caribbean islands you put into the collection, and I'm definitely rooting for your success in that, because I think it's a really, really dope, a really great project.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
And it was really just something that I did not set out to do. So if you have an idea, you never know where it will take you.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So before we run out of time, because it's 1 o'clock already, and I haven't even gotten to the meat of everything I wanted to talk to you about, but I want, and we're gonna have to come back at some point and get do another podcast next year and talk about
Sure.
so many different stuff. But before you go, I want you to any last words you want to give to our listeners in terms of finding their professional happiness in terms of going after what they want and not being afraid. What tips or what advice would you give to them?
The best advice for me, I borrowed from the great orator Les Brown. And if you don't
Hmm.
know who that is, you really need to just,
I've been hearing his name a lot. Yeah.
He said, one of his speech, he said, you don't want on your deathbed, assuming you get to choose the way you go,
Hmm.
thinking about how many hours you wasted being unhappy. And where do we have more time? At the workplace. So he says you need to make sure that there may be moments that you're unhappy with something about your professional life or your career, but you need to make sure that it is your main purpose to remain in the middle. So a well balanced life. And that's going to take some work on your part. And he says, as long as you think about that, like, if you get to be 100, and you're about to transition, are you going to have so many regrets? I should have done this, I should have done that. No, you need to make sure that you said, I gave it my all. And that means, talking about your career, that every day you do something to make sure you get to that place of happiness. It's not going to be, you snap your fingers. I wish you could snap your fingers and just, I'm happy in my current profession or the goals that I set for myself. No, it's a journey. And as long as we realize that every day you have to do something that brings you closer to that milestone and goal. But you have to also understand that you're gonna have some ups and downs. You're gonna have some days where you don't feel like it, and that's okay. There are some days I'm like, I am not watching one more length video about presentation or a YouTube video about how to forward positioning to employees. It's too much. I don't want to do this today. And I said, that's fine. I'll sit with that feeling. But the next day and the day after, I'll try to get back to it because I want to get closer to that milestone or that
Hmm.
big goal. And so it's not something that is going to happen. No one can make you happy but yourself, but you have to just take a position and make a plan. I believe in vision boards and just journaling and writing down your ideas because then you hear it out loud.
Yeah.
um, and making a plan, see whether it's 6 months, 2 years, whatever, however long it takes you, but know that every day do something small and meaningful to get closer to your happiness because it's worth fighting for. And when you get there, sometimes you won't even realize.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my, you are speaking my language. That is definitely the truth. It is definitely the truth. I say that all the time. A lot of times we think about things and we forget to write them down. It's important to definitely write them down. And this was amazing, Maudelyne. This was very, very amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to me about your upbringing, your business, what you're doing, transitioning careers and all of that stuff now. It was a really great chat. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna have to have you back next year again to talk about some more things, but I wish you nothing but success in your goals and what you're looking to achieve. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving coming up. Thanksgiving is coming up. So,
It is.
like I did a video online this morning and I'm like, celebrate your wins because a lot of
Yeah.
times we don't like to celebrate ourselves.
Yes.
And it's so important for you to celebrate yourself and what you've accomplished because you know what you've gone through to get there, and it's good to celebrate that. So I'm going to celebrate you and wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You're such a great person to talk to. And I'm so glad we can just, chat about our experiences. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy. And yeah, you have me back anytime you want. I'm happy to talk to you.
Okay. Hello. So, everyone, this has been another episode of the Network Our podcast. We have had fun. We talk about memories, all that stuff. We talk about business, professional. This is what we do here on the Network Our podcast. Until next time, live, laugh, and love, and stay healthy. Bye, everyone.